Hey Wally, this is Chris Grenier with America Homes. I just received your email this morning, and you certainly had a bunch of good questions on there, and I wanted to introduce myself. Um, I know that you mentioned that you were actually referred from a friend, which is fantastic. We certainly pride ourselves on referrals, and anytime somebody speaks positively of us, we greatly appreciate it. So I am certainly grateful that you found us. You seem like you're getting the right questions right off the bat here in terms of communication, and we certainly understand that 99% of our investors are overseas, and we're located right here in Orlando, Florida. So I certainly take a lot of time, and I certainly divulge a lot of effort into making sure that communication and they're not only is communication quick and transparent, but also that's accurate. We are a fully licensed real estate brokerage firm here in Orlando. And we are a traditional real estate company as well, too. For people who locally want to sell or buy property, they can use our company to do so. However, we have a particular sector that it's kind of our primary business model that focuses on investment properties. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into your questions here for you real quick. Your first question is, on top of the property list price, what additional charges do I incur to register the property? So what we've done is we've compiled what's called a closing package for all of our properties, and that is $3,500 on top of the purchase price. So for example, if your purchase price is $100,000, then you're completely out the door. Final price after all expenses is $103,500. So the $3,500 closing package includes all your legal fees. Over here in Florida, we use what's called title companies, solicitors, lawyers, as you may refer to them over there. They're the ones who procure the deal. I'll move that up a little bit. They're the ones who go ahead and procure the transaction between the buyer and the seller, and they are a mutual third party that executes the contract and deals with the title transfer and registering with the county and providing you with the physical deed in the future. And then that also includes, in that $3,500, that also includes your title insurance, which protects you. It's like an insurance policy on the property that protects you from all previous debts or liens that could occur on the property. Because in America, debts and liens, such as back taxes and contracting work and stuff like that, they don't travel with the person who incurs the cost. They actually stay with the property. So in this case, title insurance protects you from that. Even though you do receive a freehold clear title that basically says there are no debts and liens on the property, you have that extra layer of protection for yourself. And also in that $3,500, that includes what we call our American Homes transaction fee, as well as all the stamp duties and county fees. Your next question is the agent commission built in the price. Yes, that's in the closing transaction, the $3,500, the American Homes transaction fee. It's built into that $3,500. The next question, number 3, what is the yearly taxation and maintenance charges that I should provision, or what you should expect? What is paid by the landlord or what is paid by the tenant? So we'll start off with the taxes. Taxes are typically 1% of the purchase price. That's kind of the rule of thumb in Orlando. Fortunately, taxes in the South, in Florida, are rather cheaper compared to what's up north, such as New York, Boston, Maine, Michigan, northern type states that get all 4 seasons, such as snow and heavy winters. Because Florida, obviously, we don't have the extra expenses of paying for snow plows and sanding trucks and salt trucks, and then the trucks that clean up the mess that those trucks make. And it saves a substantial amount of money. And it also prevents a lot of damage to the roads. When you have extreme winters and extreme summers like they do in the north, it damages a lot of the city infrastructure. But here, it's a very consistent temperature. We have a very tropical climate, and so taxes are relatively low. So 1%. So rule of thumb, if you buy a $100,000 house, your taxes are going to be anywhere from $900 to $1,200 a year. So we average it at 1%. Maintenance charges. Every property that we sell is completely renovated top to bottom, and the appliances, 9 times out of 10, they still have the manufacturer's warranty on them. It's not a perfect world. Things do go wrong, unfortunately, but we have a tremendous track record of that really not being an issue for a considerable amount of time. Maintenance issues. Let's say if the air conditioner breaks down. If the air conditioner breaks down in the midst of summer, and it's not the tenant's responsibility to pay that, it is the owner's, because at the end of the day, it's still the owner that owns the property and all of the physical things that are attached to the property, like the air conditioner, the appliances, the plumbing, electrical, and everything like that. Fortunately, it's not really an issue. It does occur because, like property ownership, it is something that could happen, but fortunately, it's not something that we really forecast for because our properties are in such top shelf condition. Until natural wear and tear occurs, it's not really much of a concern. Things that are paid by the landlord versus the tenant. The landlord, the owner, is responsible for the physical attachments to the property, if it's a manufacturer or if it's a mechanical issue. But if it's a physical issue, let's say if a tenant breaks a window, then it's the tenant's responsibility to pay for that. Or if a tenant breaks something, puts a hole in a wall or something like that, some type of crazy example. If it's something that's incurred due to the tenant's mistakes or accidents or something like that, it's the tenant's responsibility to pay for it. If it's a mechanical issue, like let's say if the plumbing isn't working properly, then that's the owner's responsibility. So you kind of understand where I'm coming from there. In case anything breaks down in the property, who's paying the fixing charges? I kind of just hit upon that. Number 5, what is the percentage yields that you should expect? Our average percentage return nowadays is anywhere from 7 to 10% net. Now, depending on the particular type of property, that's why we focus primarily in that $100,000 to $150,000 price range, because that's where the rental demand is the strongest, and that's where the rental rates really provide the greatest return. Because if you start talking about properties in the $300,000-$400,000 range, you're not going to get a linear equality of rental income, if you know what I mean. So let's say if a $100,000 property gets you $1,000 a month, that does not mean a $300,000 property is going to get you $3,000 a month. The transition is relatively small. So let's just say $100,000 house, $1,000 a month. $300,000 house, maybe $1,750 a month. So the maximum return is in that $100,000 to $150,000, sometimes $200,000 price point. Again, fortunately with those, your taxes are relatively low. Your management company fee is a flat 10%. So your net income is, like I said, between 7 and 10%. Are rent contracts annual or monthly? What about rental payment? So the rental contracts that we utilize are annual. They are a 12-month lease that is procured by Rentals Orlando. Rentals Orlando is the property management company we use. They specialize in foreign investors. So fortunately, they build their business model around dealing with people on the other side of the pond, dealing with their properties over here. So they have a great online portal that you'll have access to. They provide you with monthly statements. They collect your rent for you. They obviously source the tenants. They deal with any questions or issues the tenants have. If you do not have a U.S. bank account yet, they will or we will be able to open one for you with SunTrust Bank. It's one of the largest banks here in Florida. Because if they were to wire you your rental income every single month, that could add up quite substantially throughout the year, because it's anywhere from $50 to $100 for international wires, depending on it. But with SunTrust Bank here in Florida, there's, I don't want to say hundreds, but there are dozens and dozens of locations all around Central Florida that she can deposit money into your account for, and you'll receive a credit card, a debit card with online banking access, and you'll be able to access your money whenever you wish to. In case I want the tenant to vacate the property, what is the procedure? Do I have the right to do so? And what is the notice period? Fortunately, in Florida, it's a very landlord-friendly state, meaning it's not difficult at all if a tenant breaks the terms of the lease to get them out of the property. Fortunately, the rental demand is so strong in Orlando and Central Florida that there are tenants lined up waiting to enter these properties because they are in such nice condition. They are in such a good area that there are people basically waiting in line to access them. Now, getting a tenant out, there's two ways to do it. One, You basically ask them politely. The property management company goes over the terms of the lease that they've then violated, and if they have a little bit of intelligence, they'll vacate the property without any issue. The reason why that is the case 99% of the time is because obviously when they move out of one property, they have to go somewhere else. And most property management companies, condo complexes, they require previous landlord referrals, just like our management company, to speak positively of the tenant. So obviously, if the tenant leaves on very bad terms, they know that they've broken the terms of the lease that's very clearly stated on the contract, and then they still go ahead and make a big issue, then the property management company is not going to have a positive thing to say about this tenant or person. Therefore, it's going to be difficult for them to find a new place. So it's very common that things leave on very peaceful terms. There's not an issue. They move out. The property management company markets the property and gets a new tenant in place. The notice period for doing so is you want to give them anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. You let them know, okay, look, I'm not going to kick you out tomorrow. I'm going to let you finish out this month. It gives you time to find a new place and then transition into a new home. And then the marketing of the property starts. But let's say at the end of the 12 months, the tenant decides to move out of the property, they just said, we're not re-signing the lease, we're moving, we're changing jobs, we're moving to a different side of town, just state, whatever, then that tenant has to give a 60-day notice, and that gives the property management company more than enough time to market the property and get a new tenant in place, fortunately. Your next question, when I want to sell the property, what charges should I pay, i.e. tax, agencies, fees, etc.? All right, so real quick, there's 2 fees that you would have to pay. One is the real estate commission. Just like any real estate commission, a real estate firm, in the country, the standard is 6% commission goes towards the agents. One is the buying agent, one is the selling agent. However, for previous buyers that purchase properties from us, we reduce that to 5%. That's split, so it's 2.5, 2.5. Then that 5%. Then the other fee that you would have is your capital gains tax. Because whenever we sell a property, 99% of the time they sell it for a profit. Fortunately, your first $15,000 is a very minimal tax. It's only 5%, and then that's only on profit. So let's say if you buy for 100, you sell for 115, that $15,000 has a 5% gains tax, and if it's more than that, then it's 15%. So, but fortunately, if you're profiting more than $15,000 in a short amount of time, plus your rental income, that's a pretty good return on investment and a reason to send me a nice bottle of wine. So those are the main fees there, and your closing costs when you sell a property as well too, depending on how much you sell it for, will be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. So figure 5% of the sales price plus $2,000, and then the rest is net sales price. And then number 9, is it better to invest in an apartment, in a building, or a townhouse in a gated community? We specialize in single-family homes, single-family detached properties in Florida because those have the lowest community fees. A lot of the times they are in good areas that don't necessarily require gates. Gated communities, they kind of receive a stigma like it's necessary, but it's more of a luxury than a necessity because it's not an issue where you have to have a gated community or there's going to be violence or criminal activity in that community, which it's not the case. It's simply a matter of whether or not the people in the community want to pay the additional money, because when you make a community gated, that community therefore has to buy the roads inside of that community, and the cost of living goes up substantially. So we specialize in single family homes with a decent sized garden, yard as we call it here. And the reason we don't really sell condos, which I'm going to kind of get your next question as well too, talking about condos. Apartments are condos, yes, as you refer to them. Condos have very expensive community fees and condo fees. So let's say, for instance, if you buy a $100,000 condo, your community fees could be anywhere from $500 to $700 a month just in community fees. So your rental return is going to be basically non-existent. And another good thing about single family homes is you own everything around it in that yard, in that garden, above it and below it. So let's just say, for instance, in 50 years from now, there's an oil field underneath your property. You own that, just for a crazy example. But with a condo, it's basically like you own one individual brick in a huge building. You don't own the rights to anything else other than that area. With, like I said, with property, with single family homes, you own the entire perimeter, everything above it and below it. So that's why we particularly favor single family homes. But once in a while, we receive tremendous townhouse offerings, which is kind of a mix between a single family home and a condo. And those are great if you can get them for a good price and low community fees. Those come around once in a blue moon, once in a great while, but when they do, you want to make sure you jump on those as quickly as possible as well. So, Waleed, I hope this answers most of your questions. I know I kind of dragged it out a little bit, but I'm sure you appreciate, hearing me rant on about your questions and giving you good answers rather than being brief and, not too much to the point. So, please let me know if you have any more. I really look forward to working with you. We're starting to make a strong presence in Dubai, and I think it's going to be one of those markets that is going to continue to pour money into U.S. investment properties just based upon the good returns and hopefully they can say the service that we offer as well too. So I certainly look forward to hearing back from you, Waleed, and please let me know if you have any other questions. Speak soon.